Okay, let's dive in. Think about global influence today. I mean, it's massive, right? And one name that often comes up is BTS.
Absolutely. This K-pop group, they haven't just dominated music charts everywhere, they've also shown up in places you wouldn't maybe expect.
Like the United Nations back in September 2018. That was quite something.
It really was. I mean, the first K-pop group ever to address the UN.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just, a photo opportunity.
No,
It was actually the launch of Generation Unlimited. That's a really significant UNICEF campaign.
focused on youth.
Yeah.
Right. Education, jobs.
Exactly. The goal is making sure every young person globally has access to education, training, or employment by 2030. A huge undertaking.
And they shared that stage with people like Lily Singh, too, which kind of underscored the whole message.
Definitely amplified it, yeah.
And the person speaking for DTS that day was RM Kim Nam-joon.
Their leader, yeah.
And his speech, it wasn't just some generic statement. It felt very, very personal. He started by talking about his own life,
He did. He took us back to his childhood, growing up in Ilsan, South Korea.
which makes it so relatable, doesn't it?
I think so, because he anchored this big message in these universal experiences, being a kid, having dreams, looking at the night sky. But then he talked about this shift. Around 9 or 10 years old, he said, when he started worrying about what other people thought.
He put it so powerfully. My heart stopped when I was maybe 9 or 10. Just think about that.
It really makes you pause, yeah. That feeling when external opinions start creeping in.
And he had this phrase for it, trying to fit in.
Yeah.
What was it?
Jam myself into the molds that other people made.
That's it. Jam myself into the molds. Let's unpack that a bit.
Okay, so jam here suggests, forcing yourself into something. It's tight, uncomfortable.
And the mold is that preset shape, right? The
Yeah.
expectation of how you should be.
Exactly. And he's saying he felt pressured to conform, to squeeze himself into these external expectations. It's such a vivid way to put it.
It really is. And you see this everywhere, maybe even more now with social media amplifying those pressures.
For sure. Those molds can feel very rigid.
And the result for him, he said, was that he started to shut out my own voice.
Another strong phrase.
Yeah, like blocking out his own feelings, his own thoughts, just focusing on what others wanted or expected.
Shut out really implies the act of blocking, doesn't it? Suppressing who you genuinely are. He even mentioned feeling like a ghost because no one called his name, and he didn't either. That loss of identity.
Wow. But thankfully, that wasn't the end of the story. He found something.
Music. Right.
Yeah.
He called it his one sanctuary.
And he talked about hearing this small voice inside him,
Yeah, the one telling him, wake up, man, and listen to yourself. That inner guidance.
which eventually led him to BTS.
But even that path wasn't smooth. And I think this is important. He was really open about the difficulty.
The hurdles, as he put it.
Exactly. Hurdles, obstacles they had to overcome, people thinking they were, quote, hopeless.
He even admitted he sometimes wanted to just give it all up.
That honesty, that vulnerability, it makes the message of sticking with it, of believing in yourself, feel so much more earned,
Totally. It adds real weight. And then comes this, key moment of self-acceptance in the speech.
Yeah. Where he says, yesterday's me is still me. Today I am who I am with all of my faults and my mistakes.
Tomorrow I might be a tiny bit wiser, and that would be me too. It's such a complete embrace of himself, flaws and all.
And what I love is how he reframes those faults and mistakes. They're not things to hide.
No.
He calls them the brightest stars in the constellation of my life. It's a beautiful shift from self-criticism to, self-love, really.
Which brings us right to the big themes he was building towards. Self-love and empowering young people.
Definitely. He directly connected it to their Love Myself campaign, the one they'd launched with UNICEF the year before, in November.
Right. And that campaign wasn't just a slogan, was it?
No. It was a concrete partnership with UNICEF's #EndViolence program, actually working to protect kids and young people globally.
And you can't talk about that campaign without mentioning their fans are our way.
Oh, absolutely not. Their role was massive. RM gave them a huge shout out saying, "We truly have the best fans in the world." He recognized how active and passionate they were.
Yeah, their enthusiasm really fueled it. So this UN speech, it felt like the next step, moving from love yourself inwardly
To speak yourself outwardly. Yeah, that was the transition.
to begin this call to action.
A powerful one. Find your name, find your voice, speak out, be authentic.
And he stressed it was for everyone. No matter where you're from, skin color, gender identity, just speak yourself. Very inclusive.
Very. Then he asked those direct questions, didn't he?
He did. Like he was talking straight to you in the audience. What is your name? What excites you and makes your heart beat? Tell me your story.
It felt like a genuine request. I want to hear your voice, he said, hear your conviction.
It really shows them using their platform responsibly, I think,
Yeah.
encouraging that self-expression.
And he wrapped up that part so well, identifying himself fully. Kim Namjoon, and also RM of BTS, an idol and an artist from a small town in Korea.
Acknowledging his own journey, the mistakes, the fears.
But saying he's starting to love myself gradually, just little by little. It's honest, it's relatable.
It really is. Okay, so since language is key here, let's dig into some of those English expressions he used. Understanding them adds another layer.
Good idea. That first one we mentioned, jam myself into the molds that other people made.
Right. We talked about jam meaning to force, and molds being expectations. So the whole phrase paints a picture of feeling pressured to conform, even when it's uncomfortable or unnatural.
Like, maybe someone feels they have to jam themselves into the mold of a certain career path because of family pressure, even if they dream of something else.
Exactly. So maybe think for a second, have you ever felt that kind of pressure? What did trying to jam yourself into that mold actually feel like?
Then there was shut out my own voice.
Yeah, shut out, meaning to block, to ignore completely.
So he was actively ignoring his inner self, his own desires and thoughts, to try and please others or fit in.
Right. Like maybe someone is so focused on fitting in with a group that they shut out their own voice and don't speak up about their real opinions.
Okay, so here's a question for you listening. Can you recall a time you might have shut out your own voice? What happened? Or maybe what did you miss out on because of it?
Good question. He also mentioned facing hurdles.
Hurdles, like the barriers you jump over in a race. So obstacles, difficulties you need to overcome.
Simple enough, like lack of funding was a major hurdle for the new project.
Sure. So thinking about young people today, what kind of hurdles do you think they commonly face when trying to reach their goals?
Then there was give it all up. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, just means to quit, to abandon something completely.
Like, the training was so tough, she almost decided to give it all up. So, have you ever felt like giving it all up when things got really hard? What kept you going, if you did? Or what led you to stop?
Important reflections. He also mentioned his members being right by my side.
Ah, that's a nice one. It means someone is really close, very supportive, especially when things are tough.
Your core support system, like her friends were right by her side after she lost her job.
Exactly. Think about who those people are for you, who has been right by your side during difficult times.
And lastly, that phrase, little by little.
Meaning gradually, slowly, step by step.
Right, like he learned the software little by little, practicing every day. It emphasizes progress over time.
So what's something you're working on achieving little by little right now?
It's interesting how these phrases woven into his story gain so much depth.
It really is. And the speech clearly made waves. The article we reviewed mentioned hashtag BTS United Nations trending globally on Twitter. Huge reach.
Massive. And it wasn't just, a one-off moment. The article pointed out BTS's history of tackling social issues in their music.
Right, things like mental health, consumerism, pressures in school. This speech felt very much in line with their overall message.
Definitely an extension of that. And the Love Myself campaign success really underscores their impact.
Yeah, raising over $1 million for UNICEF's work against violence towards children. That's significant.
And UNICEF's executive director, Henrietta Fore, she praised it, didn't she? Calling it proof that young people can come together and make a difference.
She highlighted the power of kindness shown through their work and their fans' actions.
It just shows how influential figures, when they use their platform thoughtfully, can genuinely spark conversations and inspire action.
Which makes analyzing a speech like this really valuable, especially if you're learning English.
Absolutely. RM's English is quite clear, relatable. The vocabulary is practical. And the core message, self-love, finding your voice that resonates across cultures.
Exactly. You're not just learning words. You're seeing English used to convey really powerful personal ideas on a world stage. It helps with listening, vocab, understanding those nuances.
It's a great real-world learning tool.
So that leads us to a final thought for you to consider. Think about this impact. When influential people share personal stories, messages of empowerment, how does that actually affect global conversations?
Yeah, and what makes some examples of this more effective than others? Have you seen other instances where someone used their platform like this to encourage people to find and use their own voice? What made it work? Definitely something to mull over.